Wait, isn't everybody at war over atheism?
Atheism? No. We've learned to get rid of all the isms in our time. Yes, long ago we realized isms are great for those who are rational, but in the hands of irrational people, isms always lead to violence.
Hello, everybody out there in podcast land or whatever land you're called in if you're behind some kind of firewall. I mean, I guess I commend your tenacity for figuring out a way to download this podcast in particular. I'm not quite sure why or how much help I am for somebody who has like a government firewall over, I guess you mean BTC or YouTube or Spreaker. Well, I guess you mean, or like YouTube could go down and get taken and blocked off the map pretty easily, and I'm sure plenty of countries already have that like that. But if you've somehow figured out the way to get around, you're listening to this on YouTube or whatever, thank you, but please leave a comment below. Let Daniel know that this is your favorite show, and let him know that I should get a bigger portion of the tips, because I know there's thousands of dollars going into that account, and he's just not telling Zach or I. Zach or I didn't want to make it sound like we have a new guy named Zachariah or something like that. But regardless, I'm getting off topic already. I've already had to redo this episode. I did it last night when it was Sunday night. I was pretty tired anyway, so I just got all mumbly and kind of depressing probably. I refused to listen back to it, but when I went, okay, I'm going to send that to Daniel, I was like, it was just too cringy. There was, for the amount or lack thereof of success I've had in my life, it was way too preachy about trying to find success. So I was kind of like, I need to shut the fuck up and just go back to doing what I've been doing, which is pretty much complaining about people and trying to figure out some way of doing something better along the way. If you've, again, found this episode, most likely you're not going around the government firewall, but you've also, if you have done that, you've probably heard our flagship show for the network, You, Me, and BTC. I do that every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We do a live show. And you can get to the newest episode by going to ymb.tc/live. That'll also take you to a live show if we have a landing page set up for it. I know the next 2 weeks are going to be a little bit jumbled because Daniel has some big stuff going on. At the end of this week, I fly out there and I'll get to, unfortunately, see him again in the face for the first time. And I guess I was out where he lives in Arizona, like 5 months ago? I'm trying to look at my computer and remember. 4 or 5 months ago, I saw him. I was supposed to be seeing Zach. I'm not sure where that hangs right now. I got some info today that Zach may not be long for this world. Make sure you guys donate to his show now so he knows that as he goes out, he has plenty of Twitter followers and he makes more money than me. Just make sure he knows that. Make sure he goes out happy. I don't want you guys letting Zach down in his time of need. If you're listening to this, please go harass him be very nice and supportive of Zach on Twitter. That's at Zach Vol with a CH for the Zach. And he also is on the You, Me, and BTC show, but he also does his own show, which is the Coin Pod that normally comes out on Tuesdays. That's not a live show, but it's very much different from my show, or then we have a fourth show online here. Zach's is more like the You Mean BTC show, where it's centered around crypto, and then it's also conversation. He does very well with getting good guests on. He has the people with Dandelion Protocol up on that's the most recent one on our website. I think he's released some other ones on Spreaker since, but that's the most recent one on our website at youmeanbtc.com. It's not a Twitter thing. But he does a good job there. He's very good with coming up with questions, even with his ailments. And let him know you're listening. I'm sure plenty more people do, because plenty more people follow and listen to him than they do to me. But I need to try to act like I'm not jealous of that by telling my 3 people to go over and give Zach some consolation. Besides that, we also have the Unpopular Opinions podcast. It's a video show they do on YouTube. That's Ryan and Brian. That has nothing to do with crypto. It's mostly stories, past stories, present stories. I know it's more of, again, it's a hangout show. It's 2 guys who have known each other for a while, and they flow pretty well with that. But if you want to get all your crypto stuff, but then all your hangout stuff too, and we'll talk about libertarian bullshit and just vague kind of general philosophy, or even just whatever we think of doing during the show. We sometimes have guests on. You can get all of that on our You Mean BTC show, and like I said, it's a live show, so you can get involved with it. You can throw stuff in the chat, and we'll probably talk about it. We've had a couple of, it's like communist bots. I guess this is a new level of the Russian bot kind of phenomenon that's happening now. But we get a communist bot that comes in and starts yelling at us about how socialism will eventually work and how we're promoting the wrong agenda for actually freeing people. But normally like last week I did the show by myself and I couldn't find the chat. I didn't take the time to do it because I was kind of flipping out. Or not even flipping out. I was just going around and didn't want to fuck around with me messing up what I was talking about to try to find the chat and everything. But we had a few people in there. I thank you guys again for that. It gives me something to bounce off of. But for that show, like I said, I do it with Daniel. I don't know if I even did say this. I do that with Daniel Brown and Zach Vole. Again, Zach, you can find on Twitter at Zach Vole. Daniel runs the at You Mean BTC handle, and then I'm at Baker's Dozen 93. So follow me there and tell me how much I and we suck and everything. Like I said, I've already done an episode, which I'm probably just going to keep because I don't feel like throwing it away, and I put some kind of energy into it, but it was not the right kind of energy. Well, I'm not still hopped up on caffeine, but I'm kind of coming down from it, still a little bit jittery. I went and did deadlifts today, so I feel fucking better. My balls are full. We're good. I guess that'd be the advice right off the bat is, if you feel down, if you feel kind of like, it's not even down. I wasn't feeling down last night. I was just being real again, it's not shitty. I wasn't being a shitty person. I wasn't giving shitty advice. I was just like, yeah, and sometimes you just have to figure out where your life needs to go. And it's just this bullshit, dumb, like I was trying to be profound when I have no business trying to be profound for everything that I've actually done, which is nothing. Literally my only benefit to my life, and what the only thing I can be proud of in my life so far is that I've gone through multiple different things that I thought I wanted to do, and then I was like, fuck this, I don't want to do this. I don't have any kind of success yet, so I can't make a podcast or an episode talking about how to get success and how you need to train yourself to get success, because then I just sound like one of these fucking fitness guys. But then if I was a fitness guy, I'd be 300 pounds, be smoking 2 packs a day, and recreationally do coke on the weekends, and have a heart that's about to burst, and then be telling you, hey, yep, you need to just, as long as you do cardio and just eat well, you're going to have abs in 6 months. It'll be fine. It'll be great. Like, the information could still be applicable, but who the fuck cares? Like, we can go talk to somebody else to get inspired besides you, fucktard. And that's directed at me. I mean, I don't want to not talk about the same thing, because nothing super different happened this weekend. It was pretty, like, where I'm living in Pittsburgh, it's pretty much just been cloudy since last Friday. Like, again, I'm recording this on Sunday, or on Monday, the 24th of September. Since about Friday, it's just been kind of cloudy. It only started raining again now, but before that, it was just gray clouds, down, like temperatures down in the 60s, which has been great. It's really been nice for going outside, because I'm so fucking used to just going outside and immediately sweating, and I work outside, so it's been miserable. So I'll take this. I'll take the 60-degree weather. I'll take fall. I'm completely fine with fall coming back. I like just wearing jeans and t-shirts and not having to, like, fucking shorts most of the time. Like, I like shorts if it's really warm, but the rest of the time they kind of annoy me. It's kind of fun. It's hard to, like, find shorts that actually fit and don't just hang. Like, that's like, if I was left to my own devices and wasn't at all concerned with what the people around me thought, I would just wear cargo shorts, but I know I can't. I would, and I have in the past, I've owned 2 pairs of camo cargo shorts. So that just show you where I'm at in my life. But I've worn those out in public. I've shamed myself. I've also, I mean, when I was like 14, I wore Velcro shoes. So that's not even the top of just the cringy things that I've done in my life. I've gone deep with that shit. But regardless, the weather's nice. It's a nice little change of the weather, but I haven't done anything. I sat around, tried to write, mostly failed at that. Got a little bit done once I got caffeinated enough to just, I felt like my heart was going to beat out of my chest. So I was like, I might as well write something down before I die so that I actually have some kind of output for people to just go, well, I mean, he died doing nothing. Like, I needed to write down something just so people go, oh, at least he was trying, even if this is shitty. But yeah, nothing different. Nobody invited me any place. That's how sad my life has gotten that I have to say that. That's why I didn't do anything. I could also just use the excuse that I'm flying the next week. See, between the job that I do and then going to the gym, most of the time on the weekend, my perfect weekend is just to sit in a chair or lay in bed until like 2 p.m. Go to sleep around like 1 and then just sleep for 12 hours or over and wake up multiple times, roll back over, fall back asleep, wake back up, check, oh, it's 11 o'clock, I'll go back to sleep, and then you wake up around 2 because you just can't. And you can't sleep anymore. Everything just hurts. You're about to get bed sores, so you need to get the fuck out of the bed. That's my kind of that's my ideal weekend. Ideal is then I also write the great American novel or the great just world novel in general. That doesn't happen that much, so I have had to lower my standards for what I consider to be a good weekend, which is kind of just boils down to sleeping a lot. But that's pretty much all I did. Nothing else really happened. I watched Sicario again because I wanted to pirate the second one, and then I was like, it's going to take too long, so I'll just watch the first one again. Still just as confused about certain scenes as I was the first time. I don't know if you've seen that. It's a movie about the drug cartels and the U.S. government, but I mean, who knows if, like, especially with that stuff, you get into the fact is stranger than fiction shit where it's like, yeah, in this movie, we actually work with cartels. And then in fact, we're like, yeah, no, we kind of just are one of the cartels and we basically just run it. So those movies then are entertaining, but then whenever you watch them and people turn to you and they go, dude, can you even believe that like the government does shit like that? I'm like, this is the best case of what they do is that they kind of maybe help a certain one over the other ones. Worst case, they are the creators of every single drug in the world. The CIA introduced crack cocaine into the black community. They tested people with LSD in the 50s. They did all this shit. Like the best case scenario is that they do a little fuckery whenever they're dealing with the cartels. But yeah, besides that, I don't really have that much from the weekend. So I wanted to try to talk about at least something I have a little bit of experience with, and that's not getting success. I'm very acquainted with being unsuccessful. Throughout my childhood, I was not good at sports, and then I was never lucky enough to be on a team that was good at sports. I think there was like, when I was younger, like, I think I played from like 8 till 14. There was this kind of like in-house, which doesn't mean indoor. It just means that it's a group that you sign up for. But it was Montour, which is one of the school districts around me, but you didn't have to be from the school district to play because it was just on Saturdays. And I was always just shit at that. I was one time on a team that won a tournament, and of course, I was growing up whenever we were already doing the shit where everybody got a trophy, so it didn't really feel that good to get a trophy for me whenever I actually finally won something. But I did that. I then played high school soccer because my high school was made up of like 30 kids, so they had no choice but to take anybody who said they would play, or else I would not have made the team. I would not have made a U14 team at 17. I was awful. And the teams, for the most part, while I was on them, were awful. And whenever they did get a little bit better, I had no no kind of I had no hand in that. My greatest strength on the field was just to stay away from the ball and kind of act as a decoy where they could be like, well, maybe they're going to pass to him, so I just like stand to the side, and that the person who had the ball instead of passing me would just dribble, shoot, and normally score. Or at least it had a better chance of going in than if they passed it at me. Most of what I did in soccer was just get injuries. I had a broken finger, I had a concussion, and I had a broken leg. So that was pretty much all I did, which is a very bad track record for how little recognition it got me. I never got laid from it. It never helped with literally anything. Like it wasn't like other schools were looking at me to say, oh, hey, you're doing pretty good at this, you want a scholarship. No girls were ever like, oh my God, you're so good at soccer, why don't you team it? It never helped. It never did anything. And I kind of gave up on that. I haven't played soccer since. I played one indoor soccer game about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, very stoned. I played keeper, and I've never played inside again, or indoor soccer. So whenever I slid to get the ball, I just on the turf just tore my knees apart so that I was bleeding. And then whenever I went over to the bench of these people I'd never met, it was like, hey, does anybody have like rubbing alcohol or something? I don't feel like getting what's it called? Not syphilis. God damn it. Not SARS. Whatever it is that you always get on Brazilian, like you get on mats at the gym or Brazilian jiu-jitsu with rolling because you have this contact, but like ringworm or something like that. And they just looked at me like I was an idiot. And I was like, what? This is a fucking I know none of you fuckers actually are good at this. I've seen you try to defend. You've been trying to defend in front of me, and you're going to look at me right now like I'm a fuck for just asking to clean this gash that I now have on both of my knees because I tried to do something for you people. Regardless, gave up on the soccer thing. Whenever I came out of high school, my first year and a half, I didn't go to college. My idea was that I would work in a factory. This would support me, and I would be happy with that. I was still very much entrenched in the whole Christian thinking. I wanted to just kind of serve God, and whatever I wanted to do and whatever I could do, I was good. Like throughout my life, I was decent at tests. I wasn't bad. I got A's. I got a decent grade point average and everything, but I was never especially bright. I was not good at math. But I was, if anything, I was a good worker. I liked just helping people, but not really because I liked helping people. I liked helping people because I thought it would make me look better to God. I thought it would make me a little bit higher up in things. I liked there was a passage about whenever you do something, don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. So anytime somebody thanked me, I was like, oh no, don't worry about it. It's fine. I was going to do something anyway, but I wouldn't take praise. I wouldn't, because I thought that was taking away from whatever treasures in heaven or some bullshit. So I worked at a factory. I worked at a pan factory, which I probably talked about it before, but all these horror stories, quote unquote, they come out of Amazon about them having to piss into bottles. It's nothing. Compared to working in that factory where it was like 100 degrees in the summer and then literally 30 during the winter. There were space warmers above us during the winter, which all they did was, because you had to come in because the rest of the factory wasn't insulated at all and wasn't warmed at all. You had to walk around in like a hoodie plus fucking long johns and then jeans, and then you get put underneath one of these space heaters for the 2-hour shift. Like the shift is 8 hours, but you have like 2 hours between breaks, and then you just sweat your dick off, and then you don't want to move from this spot because as soon as you move, all the sweat's just going to freeze onto you. But it was a terrible job. Most of the people I worked with were ex-cons. Few of the guys were people on work release from a prison. Like they were currently in prison, and those, I only know of 2 of them. I'm sure there were more of them. Those guys got sent back and fired because they punched each other in the middle. Like they just got up and started fighting because the one guy was working too fast or some bullshit like that. So I did the factory for a while. Then, while I was working at the factory, I decided to start I wanted to go learn Muay Thai. There was a gym near my parents' house. They offered Muay Thai, which is like Thai kickboxing. If you've ever seen it, it's like the main striking discipline of MMA fighters. Uses elbows, knees. It's different from a karate style kicking style, because karate has like a snap, like you bring your leg up in two parts. Like you bring your leg and your knee up, and then your leg is still like hinged, or the bottom half of your leg is still hinged behind your knee, and then you snap with that, and you normally kick with your foot, because karate and taekwondo, they're point-based sports. Muay Thai is you swing your leg like a fucking bat, and then just either break something on somebody or just beat them. Like if you get leg kicked by a Muay Thai fighter, your leg will seize up and you will fall over. If you get kicked in the side, you will just drop, because they know how to just fucking kick you in the side of the kidney and catch you there, and there's a nerve there that will just send you down. You can be all tough you want, but you're going to go down. So I wanted to learn that. I wanted to get involved with that. I wanted to learn how to fight. I'd never been in a fight. So I started going down there pretty soon after the Muay Thai. I met somebody in a couple of those classes. They were taking the MMA classes. So then I went over to doing three different disciplines. I did Muay Thai. I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is the grappling aspect of MMA, and then I did the MMA class, which was kind of mixing those two together. The guy who was the instructor was a past military boxer. I think he boxed in the army. He was a prison guard. But he, and then this other coach that he would have bring in, his ground coach guy, tried to bring everything together, tried to show us how to do the MMA stuff. That trainer, now depending on who you go to with these MMA schools, a lot of older trainers want you to get good at this. They want you to be able to defend yourself. They want you to be able to hold your own in something, so they don't just send you out there, and then if you lose or get beat up, then it looks bad on their camp, on their team. So I did that for about 1.5 to 2 years. Maybe even 2 years. Maybe I don't think I did the full Muay Thai in Brazil. I did everything together for 1.5 years. Then I did just the MMA and the conditioning for the last 6 to 8 months. I never got a fight. I had a bunch of sparring things. I got the shit beat out of me. I passed out a couple times, getting choked out. I went to 3 different grappling tournaments and had my shit just fucked over. Like, I got fucked up. One, because I wasn't that good, but also because as a beginner, the way they do jiu-jitsu and the way they do grappling is you do it by weight, but then you also do it by belt color. And it goes white, blue, purple, black or something. I'm not sure. This is why I shouldn't be talking about this, because I never got to blue. I got to white with 3 stripes. I think you need to get to 5 stripes and then you go to blue. Anyway, you sign up as your belt size or your belt color, and then also your weight. Now, what the wrestlers, there's a lot of people that go to these grappling tournaments to compete who are guys who have been wrestling since they're 14, but because they're still white belts, they sign in with the beginner classes, and then they just tank people, because wrestling isn't the same sport as jiu-jitsu, but if you've been doing that since 14 versus me, who is playing soccer, you have a better grasp of grappling in general. You have a better grasp of takedowns. You can fuck people up. That has been the only kind of formal competition I've done. Like I said, I did hours of sparring. People who were bigger than me, and people that, like, I remember getting kicked in the head by this one guy so many times that I was just holding back tears from being frustrated, from being so shitty. And then for the next week, my head was just aching. Like, anytime I moved my head too quickly, it just ached. Then also I had plenty of I fell on both of my elbows during different times, whether that was takedowns or trying to throw a kick. Fucked up both of those to where, for a while, if I wore a long sleeve shirt on my right arm and then tried to bend my arm, everything would just, I would feel like a piercing pain through my elbow. And then just everything starts to get sore. And then also around me, I saw other guys in my class getting fucked up. The one guy at one of these grappling tournaments, had his finger broken because it got stuck in somebody's gi, which is the uniform that you wear, something like like what a karate uniform looks like. He got his finger stuck in there. The guy rolled and it just snapped his finger. I saw that wasn't that bad. What was bad was then when his knee started to wear down. We were practicing. We're doing running drills, and one of the drills when you kick. Normally in MMA, it's because it's based off of Muay Thai kicks. You want to plant your one foot and then you rotate on that, and you, like I said, you swing your other leg around like a baseball bat. So you're pivoting on the one foot that you have on the ground. You're pivoting. A lot of this stuff is involved with the knee. Well, he did that, and then it shifted, and he got fucked up. So then he was coming to practice with like a brace on his knee and not doing takedowns, stuff like that. And then the ground coach that the main coach brought in for the MMA classes was like 35 or something, had been competing and fighting since he was 20. He was all fucked. Like, his back hurt, his elbows were all fucked up, his knees had almost no cartilage left. The main coach had to get cortisone shots all the time for his neck, because all this stuff is really hard. Any kind of a clinch or any kind of a grappling thing, it's hard on your neck because that's what you're trained to go for first. You grab for the person's neck, because if you can get them like that, you can drag them everywhere. So I just kind of looked around and was like, okay, well, everybody's getting fucked up in this too. Maybe this isn't a good idea. After that, and I transitioned during the MMA from the factory, because for the same reason, I looked around, I was like, all these guys are old. They dip the entire work time so that they can get their nicotine. Then they immediately go outside and smoke. They have bone spurs from just standing on concrete. They look like their lives are pretty fucked up. I don't want to get stuck doing this. So then whenever my family, they had an opportunity, because one of my elderly relatives needed someone to pretty much take care of them for 10 hours a day until the family could get back from their work. So I started doing that. I phased out of doing the MMA while I was there. But again, I thought I wanted to do something like that. I thought I wanted to do caregiving way before this, while I was still working at the factory. Before I started doing MMA, I'd gone through an EMT course. I was certified as a basic EMT, which in Pennsylvania just means you're below. Other places have EMT basic, EMT intermediate, and then paramedics. I think at the time, Pennsylvania, it was going EMT basic to paramedic. So there was a pretty steep price increase. But again, I looked at these guys. I read some of the stuff they have to deal with, just the legal issues dealing with mental health patients and what you can or can't do, or what you might come up against. And then I looked at some of these guys, like, yep, you just got to work 70-hour weeks and you make decent money. And I'm again like, fuck this. I don't want to do this. I see you guys, and every single time you guys talk about getting together, you guys all just get blackout drunk, and because you can't deal with your life, you smoke cigarettes, which I'm not doing much better right now, because I pretty much just chain smoke this vaporizer, but it's better than cigarettes right now. But it didn't look like a good outcome. All the respect in the world to people who do that, people who are first responders of things, but I was like, I don't really want to do this. It was interesting enough to go through, kind of learn some basic, not basic, pretty decently advanced safety and kind of first aid things. We did like a car rescue situation. So we all, like, one Saturday, early in the morning, they took us all out. We worked with the fire department. They had like overturned cars with smashed glass, and they taught us how to crawl in all this shit, how to take people out whenever you're minding, making sure that you don't move their spine around and all this shit. But again, I was like, I don't want to do this. Going all the way back to what I was talking about, taking care of my relative, that was good. I liked what I could do. That was also because I was working with my family, and I didn't really have to worry too much about people yelling at me. I just kind of had to do housework around, take care of them, do physical exercises with them, do like physical therapy type stuff, feed them, do all that shit, change them. But again, that person died, so I couldn't then just go on to the next family member. Okay, yep, pay me, give me stuff to do. I tried for a little bit, maybe getting something outside of that, but you need nurse certification normally. Most people don't want to pay an uncertified person to come in and take care of their parents. One, because it looks maybe a little bit suspicious, but also if you're going to pay for it, you might as well pay for a nurse. After that, that is when I started doing my current work of landscaping. Landscaping was, the whole point of this was I wanted to run my own business. I wanted to start my own thing, be my own boss, and it's been good. It's been nice to kind of see this side of a business where I can kind of have some sympathy for people who run businesses and how there is a lot more work on the back end of doing that than what you first think of. The business owner just sits there and they just make money. It's like, well, no, you have all the stress. All the customers come right to you if something's a problem. You have to do payroll. You have to do all the back ends. So you have to do all the taxes for people. You blah, 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 blah. I'm getting out of that. I've done that for about 4 years now, full time. And me and my partner in that, we've kind of been like, well, we're not getting anywhere big anytime soon. Maybe this isn't the best thing. Do you want to keep doing this? Do you want to? And then we kind of both decided, no, we'd rather try at something else. This is again something where we would look around at every other landscaping crew running around us, and it was either these big landscaping crews that were run by the local like nurseries where you can buy plants and mulch and stuff like this. And normally those nurseries will run a couple different crews, so the area can kind of cycle through them. If you don't like this one crew, then and they're all under different names. I should have said that. If you don't like this one crew, we would call them like Bassetti or something. Then you get rid of Bassetti. You say, oh, they weren't good enough. And then you look around for another crew, and then it's Larkin's landscaping or something like that. And then you go, all right, I'll try them for a little bit. And then after a year, they're gone. And then you get Edwards landscaping. And then you do them for a year, and then you go, oh, well, they don't really seem like they're paying that much attention. And then in the end, all the money is going to the same kind of parent company because they're all of the landscaping crews are all run out of the same place. They just give them different names so that people don't just switch and then go to a completely different business like mine. It was either we saw big crews like that where people could just throw a couple $100,000 into getting big, nice equipment, hiring about 6 guys, or we saw other smaller crews like us, and it's just this guy he's as tanned as a roofer. He just constantly chain smokes. Like, you would just drive past and we'd see them week to week, and it was just without fail. They just there's a cigarette in their mouth as they're riding on a mower. They look just burned by the sun. They look angry. They look like their hands don't work. Their hands are all kind of twisted up with arthritis. Didn't look like something fun. And if we weren't going to go anywhere big in the next couple of years, we didn't want to get just stuck doing this. We didn't want to get stuck doing something that's going to basically tear apart our bodies at a very young age and make anything past our 40s a pretty shitty existence. What I'm looking at getting into this winter, and I want to start and continue with my own business. I want to run a dog walking business. I did that as a side job last winter. It seemed pretty easy. It seemed a lot easier to deal with the clients than the landscaping has. Now, again, I wasn't the boss, but I did have contact with a lot of the clients. I just kind of gave them my number. You could use this little app to have kind of a segmented conversation with them so that you didn't have to give them a number. But most of the time, I just gave people the number because they didn't fucking bother you. The people I do landscaping for, it's always, you're here, so can you just do this extra thing that's going to take a half hour and you've not at all scheduled it or made time for it in your schedule? But, since you're here anyway, do you think you could just help me? It's fuck off. No, I can't. No. Fuck you, and fuck you for asking me to do extra stuff because you're old and I just can't do it. Can you move my outdoor furniture for me? It's so hard. Well, then don't fucking put it up. Why don't you do that? Why don't you not fucking do things that you can't do or expect to do things you can't do? Or why doesn't your family ever help you? And this shit is not my job. So that's a little rant. The dog walking because it's a simpler thing, it's not landscaping, because I think people sometimes take that word a little bit liberally. Dog walking, it's pretty simple. You take the dog out. The hardest thing is just the trust they have in you to not steal things from their house or steal their dog or leave your door open or something like that. That's where the biggest kind of the interaction between you is. So I like that. I like the idea of doing the dog walking. I like the idea of, because I am good with dogs. If I'm good with anybody, it's dogs. I was raised with dogs. And now with landscaping, because you're outside of people's house most of the time, I could get neck tattoos and people would still talk to me the same way. I'm still presentable enough that I don't look like I deserve to be in prison. So I don't think people, and from doing the job this last winter, people were never weirded out by me being inside of an apartment complex. I'm white, so that definitely helps. It's rare that someone goes, "You're not supposed to be here." I'm just like, well, look at me. I'm fine. So I'll take my privilege where I can get it. But the dog walking looks to be where I want to go with things. Now, the final thing that over all of these different things that I've done, I've been on and off with this since I was like a kid. I remember even doing this as like a 7-year-old, writing little shitty stories with pictures that were even shittier. However bad I am as a writer, I am even worse as a as an artist. I'm fucking awful. I can draw nothing better than stick figures, and even they don't look proportional most of the time. I can't draw two of the same size stick figures having a conversation. One will be giant, one will be small, and then it'll have this extra little leg coming out like a dick, which I forgot didn't exist or something. Like it doesn't go well. But the writing has come back in a big way since over the last year and a half. I remember again about a year and a half ago, again, this coincided with, I went out to visit Daniel in July of last year. So yeah, almost a year and 2 months. I was writing before that, but then that week that I spent out there with nothing else to do, I really did kind of force myself to start writing, force myself to focus on something, and I found that I could do it. So I've been trying and failing a lot, but trying to get better and trying to put in the time to get better at this. Because what I've found with everything else is that it's not... The question shouldn't be with something, if you're deciding to start a business or do some kind of art or, I guess, run for political office or something like that. The question shouldn't be, can I do this? Because I don't really subscribe to the idea that people are born to do something. I get that people have, maybe they have a talent, but even a talent, I'm not sure if that isn't just a predisposition to something, or maybe you have a little bit of extra, not finesse, but like a little grasp of the action or whatever you're trying to do, and you have a little bit of early success, and that kind of motivates you to get better, and you kind of go from there. That would be beyond like these savant type children who are writing who are writing like symphonies at 5. I think most people, if you know somebody who you think has a talent, it's probably just that they had a very good experience with it when they were young, and that gave them the motivation, that gave them like a nice little positive feedback loop to just keep on doing it. So it isn't just that the question shouldn't be, can I do this? Because I believe that as long as you put in the effort, you put in the time, you can do pretty much anything. The question should be, do I want to expend all the energy and make the sacrifices that might be necessary to get reasonably proficient at this? And also it depends on what you're looking at doing. Making an art piece to put in your house that no one else is ever going to buy, the amount of energy that you're going to have to expend to get proficient at that, and then also the risks involved are much lower than, say, starting a business. Starting, like, the big new thing in PA now is, because we're getting medical marijuana, is starting up some kind of a marijuana cannabis related business. the difference between that versus just making a painting that you're going to put in your house because you're stoned, you're like, oh, I want to be expressive. There's a big difference there. But you need to kind of triage where your time is going if you want to focus on something. Because success and having recognition for something you do isn't everything. It's not like that shouldn't be the end all be all. Just because more people like something doesn't mean that it's more artistically sound or better creatively. But you do have to realize that at some point you're going to have to give, as long as you're still young, and I imagine I don't have too many older people listening to this, but as long as you're still young, you need to give your kind of youthful ambition or youthful, you can put like your blinders on and just dig into something. Say, I don't give a fuck where I live. I don't give a fuck if I have to eat ramen. I don't give a fuck if I have to eat eggs and ground beef for the next 300 meals just to kind of save money so I can focus on doing what I want to do. But at some point, you're not going to be okay with that. You're not going to be okay with struggling and kind of slumming it forever, probably. Even if you think you would be now. Same thing like where I was like, oh, I'll be fine just to work in the factory forever as long as I can just read afterwards and they make me write a little bit and I can glorify God. And then I was like, nah, I kind of want a little bit more in life. I kind of want a little bit more stuff to do. I want more chances in my life than just to do that. So you should, if you want to, if you are trying to gain some kind of a proficiency at something. Now, if you don't care, if you just find working with something and you just want to come back home and sit on your couch and watch stuff and be content with that, again, that's fine. I can't, like, if you can be content with that, I'm probably going to have to figure out a way to be content with that. But I'm still young enough to go, no, fuck that. I'm going to be poor. I'm not going to be a square. I'm going to be a different, like, I'm going to be something different. I can't call myself a hustler because there's no hustle in trying to write stuff. Maybe that's what I need to find. I need to find the hustle there. But you need to find something where you can use that kind of youthful, I don't give a fuck attitude and really get some years and hours, like I'm talking thousands of hours, millions of hours practice into something while you still have the I don't give a fuck attitude, while you still can go, I don't care about having to live in a one-bedroom or a one-room apartment, or I don't care about having, like I said, eating a certain kind of food over and over again until you're sick. Because that's going to run out, and then you're going to be forced to support yourself in some way. And the idea is that you've put enough work into practicing this that you can support yourself then, that you can reliably support yourself on that. Because if you can't get to it by the point where you go, I really need to make some money and not be doing this shit anymore and not be trying to start a new business every 2 years, you're going to run into problems. You're going to run into the problem of just, I want to get married and I want to settle down, and no one will do that with me because I have nothing and I have no built up wealth. So I guess okay, again, my advice, go out, drink some coffee, take some caffeine pills, fuck pre-workout. You don't need all the dumb fucking creatine and beta-alanine and nicene that do nothing. Fuck pumps, just take some caffeine, and go do deadlifts. Get all fucking pumped up with that. They're good full body exercise. They're great. Do that shit. Get fucking angry. Get, not angry, but use your kind of, if you are still young, use the kind of, not like, I don't know what it is, but like a slighted energy. Like you go, well, this world, like no one's giving me any, just say fuck them. Go take what you want for yourself. You have to, but take it while you can still not give a fuck about the consequences. I guess, like, you need to do something before you run out of time. Not in the sense that you'll never be able, like, you're always going to be able to switch to something else. As long as you, like, most people, are not actually trapped in a job. It's a fear of something happening. But that fear of something happening is going to become more real every single day and every single year and every single decade. That fear and the need to listen to that fear because you're worried, you don't know if you're going to be able to support yourself or your family, that gets more real every single year. And if you don't use this time where you don't have that fear and it's not so controlling on your life, then you're gonna miss out on an ability that you didn't. That, like, I don't think it's brought up enough. We want to talk about young people can change the world, but maybe, but you can change your world and you can change your life. And you need, if you want to do that, if you want to pursue something, do it as soon as you can. Don't wait for shit. Don't be like, I'll finish something first and I'll go do it. Do it while you can still not give a fuck. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye.